Hey, what's up everyone? So, today we're diving into one of the coolest, most fearsome traditions in FromSoftware games, dragons. If you've played any of their games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These beasts have been terrorizing players long before Elden Ring or Dark Souls were even a twinkle in Miyazaki's eye. Believe it or not, this love, or should I say hate, affair with dragons actually kicked off way back in the mid-90s with a little gem called King's Field 2. Yeah, that's right, before we were getting roasted alive by fire-breathing monstrosities in Dark Souls, FromSoftware was already perfecting the art of the tough-as-nails dragon boss fight. Fast forward a few decades, and these scaly nightmares have only gotten bigger, badder, and way more brutal. Whether it's the epic duels in the Dark Souls trilogy, the towering winged beasts in Elden Ring, or even the surprise dragon encounters in Sekiro, these fights have become a rite of passage for any FromSoftware fan. And let's be real, who hasn't experienced that moment of pure panic when a dragon swoops down, ready to turn you into a crispy snack? It's all part of the fun, or the frustration, of these games, and honestly, would we have it any other way? Probably not. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking dragons in FromSoftware games. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching!
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The dragons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Red Blue Dragon in Demon Souls, Dragon God in Demon Souls, and Ancient Wyvern in Dark Souls 3. Now, let's talk about some of the easiest dragon bosses in FromSoftware history. Honestly, calling these boss fights might be a bit of a stretch. Take the Red and Blue Dragons from Demon Souls, for example. They're more like massive, scaly roadblocks than actual bosses. These guys are designed to be avoided, rather than fought head-on, swooping down to toast you if you're not careful, but mostly just there to stress you out as you try to survive the environment. They're more of a background threat than a real fight, making them pretty forgettable in the grand scheme of things. Then we've got the Dragon God from Demon Souls and the Ancient Wyvern from Dark Souls 3. These two are what we call puzzle bosses. Instead of clashing swords and spells, you're sneaking around like a ninja, trying to get into position for that one sweet one-hit KO. It's less about battling a fearsome dragon and more about playing a game of hide and seek, except if you lose, you get squashed. Fun, right? These fights are more about solving the puzzle than the thrill of combat, which is why they're hanging out at the bottom of our tier list. The dragons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Guardian Dragon in Dark Souls 2, King of the Storm in Dark Souls 3, the Divine Dragon in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Decaying Exarch's Elden Ring. FromSoftware dragons, those mythical beasts that look terrifying but often turn out to be a bit more bark than bite. Take Dark Souls 3's King of the Storm for instance. Now don't get me wrong, this guy is intimidating with his lightning strikes and all, but let's be real, he's just the appetizer for the much tougher Nameless King that follows. Once you've got the hang of dodging his moves, he's not going to give you too much trouble, especially if you're a seasoned FromSoft player. Then we have Sekiro's Divine Dragon. This fight is absolutely stunning to look at, with those majestic cherry blossoms and the dragon soaring through the sky. But in terms of challenge, well, let's just say you won't be breaking a sweat. It's more of a visual spectacle than a test of skill. And how can we forget Elden Ring's Decaying Exarchs? He may be slow, but that Scarlet Rot attack can catch you slipping if you're not careful. Still, once you learn to keep your distance, he's more of a lumbering giant than a true menace. So while these dragons can surprise you, they're not exactly the fire-breathing nightmares you might expect. The dragons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Gaping Dragon in Dark Souls, Seath the Scaleless in Dark Souls, Osiros in Dark Souls 3, Flying Dragons in Elden Ring, Magma Worms in Elden Ring, Glintstone Dragons in Elden Ring, Borealis, the Freezing Fog in Elden Ring, Ancient Dragon Lanceaxe in Elden Ring, and Ghost Flame Dragons in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. FromSoftware's dragons, those majestic, terrifying, and sometimes downright frustrating encounters that make you rethink your life choices in the middle of a boss fight. Now, most of these scaly nightmares land in the B tier, and honestly, that's not a bad place to be. These dragons are still a formidable challenge, don't get me wrong, but they come with a few quirks that make them more manageable once you've had some practice. Take Dark Souls' Gaping Dragon for instance. It's an intimidating beast at first glance, but once you get the hang of its moves, you realize it's more about dodging and timing than raw difficulty. The same goes for Elden Ring's assortment of dragons, whether it's flying, glintstone, or ghost flame, they all pack a punch, but their attacks are so well telegraphed that dodging becomes almost second nature after a while. Now, let's talk about Seath the Scaleless from Dark Souls and Osiros from Dark Souls 3. These two are a bit more spry than their B-tier buddies, with faster movesets that can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. But here's the thing, Seath might be a big old stationary crystal lizard, which makes him an easier target, especially once you figure out his patterns. And Osiros? Sure, he's quick, but that lower health pool makes the fight more of a sprint than a marathon. If you're a seasoned FromSoft player, these battles might feel more like a well-choreographed dance than an actual struggle. So, while they're not top-tier nightmares, they're definitely the kind of dragons you look forward to battling again, if only to show off how much you've mastered their moves. The dragons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Lich Dragon Fortisax in Elden Ring, Ancient Dragon Senesax in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Calamite in Dark Souls Artorias of the Abyss, Ancient Dragon in Dark Souls 2, and Sin in Dark Souls 2 Crown of the Sunken King. Now, let's talk about some of the FromSoftware dragons that will really put your skills to the test, but maybe won't leave you absolutely tearing your hair out like the S-tier ones. First up, we've got Lich Dragon Fortisax and Ancient Dragon Senesax. These two bring the thunder, literally, with their red lightning attacks that make getting up close and personal a serious gamble. You're dodging left, right, and center just to avoid being fried to a crisp. And if you think you can just rush in, think again. These guys have no problem zapping you back to the bonfire in seconds. Then there's Calamite. Oh boy, Calamite. This dragon is fast, ferocious, and just downright relentless. Blink, and you might miss your chance to avoid its deadly charge. But Sin likes to keep you on your toes. Quite literally, as he spends most of his time flying out of reach. Trying to land a hit on him can feel like trying to swat a fly with a toothpick. Frustrating to say the least. And we can't forget about the Ancient Dragon from Dark Souls 2, the king of overstaying his welcome. With a health pool so massive, it could make even the most patient player groan, and a moveset that's as basic as it is deadly. This guy will test your endurance as much as your skill. Sure, it's not the most thrilling fight, but one wrong move, and it's lights out. The dragons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Darky to Midir in Dark Souls 3, the Ringed City, Dragonlord Placidusax in Elden Ring, and Baal, the Dread in Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. Let's talk about the heavy hitters in the world of FromSoftware dragons, the ones that make you question every decision you've ever made in life. If you've ever faced off against the Dark Souls 3's Darky to Midir, Elden Ring's Dragonlord Placidusax, or the yet-to-be-released Shadow of the Erdtree's Baal the Dread, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These dragons aren't just bosses, they're living nightmares with wings. Each one comes with a moveset that's more extensive than a buffet menu, packed with enough AoE attacks, projectiles, and sweeping melee moves to make you rethink your approach. And let's be real, one wrong move and it's back to the bonfire, my friend. But here's the thing, while these dragons are out there smashing your hopes and dreams into tiny little pieces, they're also some of the most breathtaking bosses you'll ever encounter. The sheer scale and design of these creatures are absolutely mesmerizing. The sense of accomplishment when you finally take them down? Priceless. These fights are the perfect blend of challenge and reward, making every death and every retreat feel like a step closer to victory, no matter how many controllers you've shattered along the way. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.